Becoming fluent in English, or any language, is a journey that involves practicing several skills in tandem: speaking, listening, reading, writing, and thinking in English. To break this process down into something more manageable, let's think of learning English as like learning to ride a bike on a long, slightly hilly path. Each hill represents a new challenge, and each downhill coast represents the progress and ease that come once you've mastered a skill. Here's how to approach English fluency, step by step, with intuitive analogies. 1. Building vocabulary, gathering tools for the journey. Words are like the building blocks of language. Imagine you're trying to build a house, your fluency. If you don't have the right materials, bricks, wood, nails, it's going to be tough. Every new word you learn is like picking up a tool. But just memorizing a list of words won't help much, right? You need to know how to use them. Active learning tip. Try to learn vocabulary in context. Instead of memorizing random words like apple or run, find them in sentences, listen to how they're used in conversations, and use them yourself. For example, read a short story or an article and make a list of new words you encounter. Analogy. Imagine you're assembling IKEA furniture without knowing the purpose of each tool in the box. It's a mess. But if you see the tool being used in action, you'll quickly understand how to handle it. 2. Grammar. Learning the rules of the road. Grammar is the set of rules that tell you how to structure your sentences. Think of it like traffic rules while driving. It tells you when to stop, where to turn, and how to get to your destination without causing confusion or accidents. Active learning tip. Don't treat grammar as a monster. Instead, break it down into small, manageable pieces. Focus on one part of grammar at a time, like learning how to use the past tense or how to structure questions, and practice that in various contexts until it feels natural. Analogy. You wouldn't expect to learn all the traffic rules in one day, right? It's the same with grammar. Start small and add complexity as you get more comfortable. 3. Listening, sharpening your ears for sound. Listening is like tuning into the engine sounds of your language bike. It helps you get a feel for how everything runs. This is a critical part of becoming fluent, because you learn how native speakers actually sound, how they emphasize certain words, and the speed and rhythm of speech. Active learning tip. Watch TV shows, movies, or listen to podcasts in English. Don't worry if you don't understand everything at first. Your brain is adjusting to the sounds and flow. Subtitles can help in the beginning, but try to wean off them over time. Analogy. At first, the sound of English might feel like listening to a new musical instrument, but as you hear it more, you'll start to recognize patterns and even predict what's coming next, much like knowing what note might follow in a familiar song. 4. Speaking skills. Finding your balance. Speaking fluently in English is like riding a bike without training wheels for the first time. It might feel a little shaky at first, but with practice, you'll start to feel the balance. The key is to speak as much as possible, even if you're not perfect yet. Active learning tip. Practice speaking with others as often as possible. You can find a language partner, join online English conversation groups, or even talk to yourself if no one is around. Focus less on perfection and more on communicating your ideas. Analogy. Think about learning to swim. You can read all about swimming techniques, but unless you jump into the water, you won't improve. Speaking English is similar. You need to use it to really learn. 5. Reading skills. Exploring the path ahead. Reading is your guidebook. It shows you how words fit together naturally and introduces you to new ideas and ways to express yourself. Plus, it's one of the best ways to expand your vocabulary. Active learning tip. Read whatever interests you, whether it's books, online articles, or social media posts in English. Start with materials suited to your level, and then challenge yourself with more complex texts over time. Analogy. Imagine you're learning to cook. You wouldn't start with a complex gourmet recipe, right? Instead, you'd start with something simple, and as your skills improve, you'll be able to tackle more difficult dishes. 6. Writing skills. Locking in your learning. Writing is like recording your progress in your language learning journey. It forces you to organize your thoughts and gives you a chance to experiment with the new grammar and vocabulary you've learned. Active learning tip. Start a journal in English. Write short stories, or even make social media posts. The goal is to get comfortable with expressing yourself in writing. Don't worry too much about mistakes. Just write regularly and review your work to improve. Analogy. Writing is like practicing a sport. The more you write, the stronger your language muscles will become. Number 7. Thinking in English. Mastering the path. Finally, thinking in English is the ultimate goal. It's like reaching the point where you no longer need a map to navigate. You know where you're going, and everything feels natural. Instead of translating from your native language to English, your brain starts to process thoughts directly in English. Active learning tip. Challenge yourself to think in English during everyday tasks, whether it's planning your day, shopping, or reflecting on something that happened. The more you do this, the more automatic English will become. Analogy. Imagine walking through a maze for the first time. At first, you need the map, but after walking through it a few times, you'll know the route by heart and won't need the map anymore. The fluency cycle. Practice, reflect, improve language learning isn't a straight path, and it's okay to go back and revisit areas that need more attention. Each time you cycle through listening, speaking, reading, and writing, you'll find that you improve a little more. It's like going up and down hills on your bike. Sometimes you'll struggle, but the downhill parts will get easier the more you practice. Gauging your knowledge. Now that you've seen an overview of the different components of fluency, let's assess where you stand. How comfortable are you with understanding and applying English grammar? Do you actively speak English or mostly listen, read? How much reading and writing practice do you have in English? Do you often think in English or tend to translate from your native language? By answering these questions, I can help fill in any gaps and guide you through improving your fluency step by step.